Laws on reporting abuse vary from state to state in this country. In 39 states, it's a misdemeanor for failing to report abuse with no jail time. It's a felony in only 3 states. Senator Bob Menendez wants that to change now. He's out front tonight to unveil action that he's taking. And Senator, this is action that you are going to be taking tomorrow. A bill you're putting forward. What would it do?
Well, our CARE bill, the Child Abuse Responsibility and Enforcement Act, would do 3 things. Number 1, it makes it the law of the land that, in fact, you have to report. You have an obligation under the law to report acts of child abuse. 2, that you have to report that to a police department and the social service agency of that state. And number 3, that failure to do so would mean a year, potentially a year in prison. And we seek to have the states make that the law of the land in every state by saying if you don't pass a law or if you don't have a law that has those 3 conditions, then you won't get access to $1.7 billion in social service block grants. And we think that that is ultimately the way in which we protect our children. You know, you think there'd be a moral obligation to do this, but this will make a very clear legal obligation that if you see something, you have to say something, and that has to be the police and social service organizations.
And one thing that as I was looking at this, I Googled today, Senator, I typed in what is child abuse. On Google, I got 44,100,000 results, all kinds of conversations. One example came from the Santa Clara County, California county website, talking about exactly what would constitute forcing you to go and tell authorities. And I'm just curious, is part of the reason here that we haven't had these laws in place because there's a lack of clarity about what abuse really is?
Well, we'll let the definition of abuse go by state law.
Okay.
But what is not clear in many states is what is your obligation, your legal obligation to report, and what are the consequences. And in some states, there aren't even consequences for not reporting. We want to make sure that there is a clear legal obligation to report to police and social service agencies, and we want you to understand that your failure to do that, you shouldn't be worried about your job, you shouldn't be worried about any other consequences, because the failure to do that could land you in jail for up to a year. And we think this is the best way to protect our children.
All right, up to a year or minimum a year?
A minimum of a year.
Minimum of a year. Okay. So in the case of Joe Paterno, then, who told his boss, but no one at Penn State told authorities, in this case, then, Mike McQueary, Joe Paterno, all of those people could go to jail.
Well, first of all, the law is prospective. So what we would say is anyone who found themselves in those conditions in the future, they would have an obligation to go directly to the police department, tell them what they saw, what they know, as well as to the social service entity of that state. And therefore, they would meet their obligation under the law. Failure to have gone to the police and the social service agency could land them in jail for a year.
All right, well, Senator, thank you very much, and good luck with this. I think everyone would say it's about time, and shocking we didn't have this in place. Senator Menendez has been fighting for this for a long time, so let's hope that this goes through and without much of a problem.